From the outside, our family had the kind of life many envied. We lived in a nice part of town, went to good schools, and never had to worry about essentials. But what people didn't see was what it cost us emotionally. What it felt like to grow up in a house with one parent who gave too much and another who gave almost nothing of herself. My father, David, was everything you'd want in a dad. He was the heart of our home, gentle, attentive, patient. Despite working full time, he made time for us in a way that made each of us feel seen. He'd sit with us to go over homework, show up at school events without needing to be reminded, and he'd notice the small things like when one of us was unusually quiet or upset. He was that kind of parent, emotionally available and deeply present. My mother, Angela, on the other hand, was different. She wasn't cruel, but she was emotionally distant. She was intelligent, ambitious, and incredibly hardworking. She held a senior role in a government agency and ran a successful side business. From her perspective, she was doing what a good mother should, providing for her family. And in a way, she did. We never lacked food, clothing, or education. But what we lacked, desperately, was her presence. She didn't do conversation unless it was about results, grades, chores, punctuality. There were no spontaneous hugs or long talks, no mother child bonding moments. Every interaction with her felt like a transaction. Even as a child, I felt the emotional gap. She wasn't mean or abusive, just detached. There was always a distance between her and us, in a space she never tried to close. If dad was the warmth of the home, mom was the structure. And when you're a kid, structure without warmth just feels cold. As we grew older, the contrast between them became even starker. I remember a day in secondary school, an open day where parents came to interact with their teachers. I hadn't even told my mom about it, assuming she wouldn't care. But to my surprise, she showed up. She sat through meetings, took notes, and even asked a few questions. I was shocked. And for a brief moment, I felt hope. Maybe she was trying, maybe something had shifted. But just as quickly as it came, that version of her disappeared. Within days, she was back to long hours at work, her phone glued to her ear, and us reduced once again to afterthoughts. By the time I got to university, I had accepted the way things were. My siblings and I had learned not to expect too much from her emotionally. We had each other, and of course, we had dad. But deep down, I think we were all still hoping she'd come around. That one day she'd realize we didn't just need things, we needed her. After graduation, when we started our first jobs, things took an unexpected and uncomfortable turn. Out of nowhere, Mum began asking for part of our monthly allowances. At first, I laughed it off. I thought it was a joke. But she was dead serious. She said things like, "You owe me for raising you," or "I invested in you and now it's time to give back." We were earning just enough to survive in a new city, barely covering transportation and feeding, but she insisted. And because she was our mum, we gave in. What stung more was that she didn't need it. She had a stable government income and her business was doing well. This wasn't about survival, it felt like power, control, a way of reminding us that we still owed her something, even in adulthood. When our actual salaries began to roll in, she increased her expectations. It didn't matter that we had rent, bills, or our own lives to manage. In her eyes, we were a source of revenue. Dad didn't object. If anything, he supported her. He told us, "You don't wait for your parents to ask. You should always give them something." And I understood that culturally, especially where we're from, that's a common belief. But the way she handled it, like it was her right, not our choice, felt wrong. Then later on, everything collapsed. My dad died suddenly. It was a hard issue, something none of us saw coming. His death shattered us. I felt like someone had ripped the center out of our family. And almost immediately, without even allowing herself or us time to grieve, Mum began taking control of everything he left behind. She didn't discuss anything with us. Within days, she had changed the locks to his study, collected his phone and documents, and assumed full authority over his assets, bank accounts, cars, properties. At first, I told myself she was probably just trying to keep things in order. But as the months passed, it became obvious that she had no intention of sharing or even being transparent with us. She sold one of his properties without telling anyone. When we found out, we were livid. Her response? It was mine anyway. One of my siblings asked her directly why she was holding on to everything. She simply said, "I'll share it later." But later never came. The 3 cars he left behind remained parked and unused. When I asked her if I could have one, just one, she looked at me like I had committed a crime. "Don't rely on your father's things," she snapped. "Go and make your own way in life." I wanted to scream. We weren't asking for luxury or charity. We were his children. His legacy was supposed to be shared with us. We tried involving family, her friends, elders. We thought maybe someone could talk sense into her. People tried. She'd sit and listen politely, nodding, offering vague promises to do better. But the moment they left, it was business as usual. She didn't care what anyone thought. She had decided that everything was hers, and no one could tell her otherwise. What made it even harder was that my siblings and I couldn't agree on a way forward. One of them thought we should back off, that if we kept pushing, she'd only dig her heels in further. Another suggested cutting her off completely, even legally challenging her if it came to it. But emotionally, that felt like too big of a step. We were caught between hurt, love, and duty. And that's the most painful kind of limbo. 2 years have passed since Dad died. I can't even say I have a relationship with my mum anymore. She calls sometimes, but never to check in. It's always about money. "When are you sending something?" Not once has she asked how I'm coping, or if I'm okay. It's like we're accounts to be managed, not children to be loved. Sometimes I try to rationalize her behavior. I know she had a hard upbringing. Her parents struggled financially, and she had to claw her way out of poverty. Maybe that shaped her. Maybe that's why she holds onto money and power so tightly, but even if that's true, it doesn't excuse the choices she's made. It doesn't excuse the way she's hoarded our father's legacy like it was hers alone. Now I focus on my own life, on healing. I support my siblings where I can. In some strange way, all this pain has brought us closer. We lean on each other more. We talk about Dad often, about the kind of person he was, about how proud he'd be if he were here. But we also wonder what he'd think of what's become of our family. I think he'd be heartbroken. I know I am. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We release new, captivating stories every week, and there are plenty more waiting for you right here on the channel.